Hi everybody, Desmo here. I'm making this video to help you overcome the gauntlet and to share my experience and what I've learned in the event. I am now confident that I can take 19% of the game very comfortably. There will be different parts on the video. I am going to tell you why you should try the gauntlet, share some overall tips that will help you succeed, and explain the build that I'm playing, which was completely outside of my comfort zone since I'm not a hardcore player. Everything will be explained in detail, from how to progress in campaign, to character skill tree, and much more. So get yourself comfortable and let's get into it. I will start with the reason why you should try the gauntlet. There is 3 reasons here. First, we have great prizes to win. There are 2 guaranteed ones, the Gauntlet MTX, which displays your highest level reach in the gauntlet, and the mystery box if you finish the campaign. On top of that, by reaching different levels, you're becoming eligible to win additional prizes, like complete armor sets, and even valuable physical prizes like graphic cards. But beyond all that, the main reason that got me to participate is the fun factor. Yes, fun. This is a short event, much like League Start, and there is nothing more exciting for me. But, on top of that, it's very challenging and competitive, which makes it even more exciting. We have the hardest version of the game, excluding Ruthless, and this kind of environment will force you to consider the game in a whole different way and teach you things that you ignored so far. The question is, how do we survive and progress in such a hostile environment? The very first rule is don't give up. Dying is part of the process and, even more important, part of the progress. Every run you make, you'll gather items that will make your next run easier. The most notable example is your Mercenary. Having one 20 levels higher than your character, no matter which one it is, will make the gauntlet feel like a joke. Make sure along your runs to pick up as much loot as you can, because items useless for you could very much be a good upgrade for your Mercenaries. Also, this event may be short, but this is still a marathon and not a race. It's a race for the top 50 players, but for you, it's just about staying alive. So, take your time and make sure to be ready to face the hardest content. Something you really need to be careful with is every final act boss. This is likely where you are going to die. However, there's ways to get through it much easier than you think. The first and obvious thing to do is to be overleveled. Being 3 to 15 levels above zone level is going to make your life incredibly easier. Let's take the Valversal boss at the end of Act 2 for example. Before getting to that boss, if you're not absolutely confident to succeed, you should farm the Northern Forest a few times. It has an incredible monster pack size for that level, very easy mobs to kill overall, and a nice linear layout. You can ping-pong that zone back and forth until you are strong enough to face the boss. Do the same for every Act boss and you will have a very good chance to succeed. On the same topic, make sure to have a great amount of portal scrolls. Always open a portal on an accessible corner of the arena before the fight starts, and use a portal before things get nasty. After going through the important parts of the campaign, I'm going to talk about the build I'm using and explain it in details, because I feel like there could be more comprehensive information on the progression of the build on the guides out there. I'm playing Ancestral Commander Earthshatter from Karn. Big shout out to him for this amazing build for hardcore. To begin with, a global mandatory tip is to check vendors every 4 to 8 levels to upgrade your two-handed axe. If you don't know which axe to pick up, check physical damage or base level requirements. Then use an alchemy orb on it and pray for increased physical or flat physical and craft the other. We get plenty of alchemies from Mercenary and Essence along the way, so it's not an issue. Alternatively, and for Act 1 before we get the craft, you can use the recipe to get increased physical on the axe by vendoring the axe with a raristic sash belt and the blacksmith orb. Alright, let's begin with Act 1. On the beach in Twilight Strand, we don't have a choice here. To take down Hillock, you have to hit and spin around him. Get close, attack, walk around him on his left for about a third of a circle, and repeat. Maven's Orb will make the process very annoying, but be calm, take your time, and you'll get there. On the second phase, be very careful with Hillock's jump when you walk too far away from him. When Hillock is down, we will grab a two-handed axe from the vendor and Ground Slam. Link it to Ruthless support and chance to bleed after Tidal Island. For movement skill, we want Frost Blink at level 4, which will require an intelligence amulet that you can buy from vendor, and Lip Slam linked to faster attack. At level 4, we also want to grab War Banner and Blood and Sand, the second being less important if currency is lacking. We also pick up Decoy Totem from Quest Reward, which will be really useful for boss fight. When we reach Cavern of Anger before Merveil, we swap Grand Slam for Thunder and we buy Earthshatter, Enduring Cry and Intimidating Cry to level up in offense. Make sure to grab 2 Sapphire Rings before facing Merveil. If you didn't drop any, you can buy them from vendor, or get them with the recipe by vendoring an Iron Ring and a Blue Skill Gem that you can buy for 1 Wisdom Scroll. And we made it to Act 2. From there, we go to the right side first, because there is 2 quests that will get us stronger without facing too much difficulties. We go to the crossroad, grab the waypoint, then go south to the file shrine, then go crypt to get the skill point. Then we go back to crossroad and north to the Chamber of Sin. After defeating the boss, you can get Herald of Ash from the quest reward and Herald of Purity from the vendor. Also buy Ancestral Cry and Seismic Cry to level up in offense. Then we go to kill the first bandit on the broken bridge on the far east of Act 2. In that zone, there is a unique event usually on the top left of the waypoint. Go to the ruins corner and open a chest that will summon 3 exiles. Be careful with them, but they are not too difficult and they may drop some useful gears, most often magic rings and amulets. Once the bandit is dead, go to the left side of Act 2 and start by killing Oak. He is not as strong as he seems, but still be careful here. Then we go to help Alira in the western forest to get some resistance and kill the bodyguards at the far left side of the area for a skill points, reward that we need to get back in Act 1. Then go kill the spider in the Weaver's Chamber. After that, we can grab increased physical support from quest reward and buy Endurance Charge or Milestone support to level up in offense or any empty socket that you have on your gears. Then proceed to the Arc boss in the caverns. Be very careful with this boss and follow the advice that I gave earlier. Be also careful with the ads that the boss summons, TP out as much as necessary. From Act 3, the game becomes much more straightforward, so I'm only going to focus on some critical points. We get vulnerability after Crematorium, and by Generals, Battle Mage, Rallying and Infernal Cry, and Auto-Exertion from the vendor. Toward the end of the act, go to Library and complete the side quest to get Fortify support that you add to your main skill links instead of Chance to Bleed, still using Thunder for now. You should have a 4 link by now. Before going to fight Dominus in the Scepter of God, when you're about level 29 to 32, go get your Ascendancy in the lab to get the Warcry node, allowing us to transition to Earthshatter and Auto-Exertion double setup. Drop Herald of Ash to have sufficient mana pool and check PoB for proper setup. In Act 4, a few boss can one-shot if you're not careful. Before Kaum, there is a unique totem boss that can deal heavy damage, just run past it. During Kaum's fight, there is volatiles that are dealing heavy damage, make sure to keep moving and you'll be fine. Before going for Malachi, you can run Darius's Dream Area multiple times to level up. Be at least 3 to 10 levels above Malachi before going for the fight according to your experience of the game. When collecting organs, be careful with fighting Doedre. Never stand in the red circle, especially when she is throwing the red projectile at you. This is a one-shot potential. For Molokai himself, make sure to portal out as much as necessary since the Maven's beams in the second arena are preventing any life regeneration and can easily lead to death. In Act 5, there is nothing too difficult, but remain careful with Kitava and all the bosses that she spawns. Get a good 5 to 10 levels above area level to make sure to kill her fast enough. Act 6 is going to be challenging. Be extremely careful on Chavrin's fight in the upper prison. The difficulty of the fight comes from the tower that inflicts bleeding constantly. The best solution is to get bleed immunity with protection mastery, which will make the fight really easy. Bleeding immunity on Flask works too, but is far less good. You will still need to be over level because Brutus hits quite hard. After Chavroni, go for the side quest boss at the very end of the act, just before the crab, because the goat and the puppet can be lethal. For the crab at the end, a Sapphire Flask can help, and of course a good amount of portals. Act 7 is not so difficult. Make sure to have enough armor for the spiders in Temple of Decay, a Granite Flask on top is nice, and Amethyst Flask as well for chaos mitigation. Since we have a level, we can go for the second lab before going for Spider. Act 8 is also easy. Make sure to go right side first and to be careful with Porcupine when you are going for Yugo's side quest. Alright, we made it to Act 9, which is probably the hardest part of the campaign. Most of the act is really easy, but the final boss is extremely difficult. When you go for the Trinity of Nightmare, the arena will fill up with Ground Degeneration, like in Maven's fight, on top with the giant red orbs from the boss. It will massively reduce your save zone in the arena. On top of that, if you low guard to avoid dying, you will have to run quickly back up to the boss before the instance reset because there is no waypoint before the boss. Make sure to have enough portals there. Low guard will likely be necessary because of the messed up arena. And here is finally Act 10. If you've made it so far, you're almost done and there is no real great danger left ahead. Go through the entire act up to Avarius. When you get there, grab the waypoint in the Desecrated Chamber and then go get your third Ascendancy before fighting against Avarius. When you get back to him, be careful because he hits hard. After that, go to kill Kitava. Make sure to be level 70 or above according to your experience, and don't worry, she is not that hard to kill. And congratulations on completing the gauntlet, you're now part of the Path of Exile Elite. Now let's speak about the build and the character progression. I'm gonna reset the tree here to show you the progression as I did in the campaign. Early on, you want to grab some offensive nodes here, then grab these two nodes, some life and some attributes for your skills. You will need that for faster attack, for instance, and frost blink. Then we are going down there. If you are lacking some offense, you can grab the nodes over here. We are going to take the armor nodes here and the life, and we are going to pass right away to resolute technique, so we don't need ever to care about accuracy anymore. After that, you should be close to Act 3, and this is when we are going to start caring about war cries, because we want to prepare ourselves for Earthshatter transition. We just get the life and the resistance here, that can be really useful, and then we get to pass down there. First, we're gonna actually grab the nodes here for war cries. We get war cries with minimum power on the mastery, and on the other one, we get cannot exert travel skills. When you get this, you also want to grab the mana reservation efficiency here, on top of some mana leech. You also want to grab this cluster here for the leech mastery. So 5% of the leech is instant. This is really important. You could consider to grab these nodes here for the leech, for the life leech. But we don't have the same mastery with this one. This is why we picked this cluster. After that, since we start using Earthshatter, you want to invest a bit into AoE, because Earthshatter relies a lot in AoE, and this is going to help. Then we can go and grab more life, and some maximum resistance, extra elemental resistance, and armor. I forgot to mention that before these nodes here, you can also grab the master here with rage. War cries grant 1 rage per 5 enemy power, up to 5. This will make sure that you have consistently maximum rage. You can also remove the points here if you need to get faster to what we really care about. This is not too important. And then we can start going down there to invest into endurance charge. Because from Act 3, when we are transitioning to Earthshatter, we are going to start using endurance charge on Medestun support, and this is going to be a good synergy. We can also grab the maximum endurance charge here. If you have a jowl that is with life and anything useful, you can grab this if you want. And then we will grab the other endurance charge on top. We can also grab some additional life here, and this is going to be about level 64. At this point, you could also consider to grab the points here for more life and remove the one on the other side of the starting tree. Also, as I said, in Act 6, we probably want to grab this node here to get the mastery to be immune to corrupted blood, and we can grab this cluster here for more physical damage. I also forgot one mastery that we can use early on. This is this one. Kill cost life instead of 50% of mana cost. This is gonna help to remove mana issue. So that would be level 69. I forgot another mastery here. Monster cannot block attacks. That's really good. And if you go beyond level 70, you can grab the axe node here. We will get intimidating, which is really good for damage also. And for ascendancy points, we get Call of the Ancestor first. Then we go for the endurance charge. Then Ancestral Defiance. And for the last one, if you go in maps, we go with Toughened Skin. About our character gears, this is very simple. You want to have armor on every piece of gears. This is really important for defense. As much life as possible. And of course, chaos resistance and elemental resistance. Amethyst ring from Act 5 and onward. This is really important because chaos resistance is going to be an issue, since there is a modifier from the gauntlet that makes enemies deal 25% of physical damage as extra chaos damage. For the last part of the video, I'm quickly gonna go over the mercenary choice and rewards. For the mercenaries, there is only one that I found useful, which is the Bastion. This is because it grants determination and a buff that mitigates elemental damage based on armor, or grant invincibility for 3 seconds every 30 seconds, or damage reduction for a duration. The absolute best would have physical Aegis, Prism Plate, Determination and Tempest Shield. This mercenary is also very tanky and never dies. Nevertheless, from level 22, you should get any merc that you find, but preferably one with good clearing, because if you die, it will make your next run incredibly easy. If you can have a different merc for every 15 levels, this is perfect. Systematically check their rewards as soon as you get strong enough to kill them, starting from around Act 2. Their rewards are just not really worth checking before Act, except for some leveling uniques. It's worth noting that I got most of my gears from mercenaries. And this is pretty much all I have to help you through the gauntlet. If you have any question, leave a comment. Until my next video, take care of yourself and bye!
Last night I had a dream, dropped the mirror on stream. Oh my god, what's so clean, best thing I've ever seen. Un peu mirror,